Do you use any chemical additive?
Our idea was to put the little gummy bear into the bottle.
Brewing is a dirty job.
We had to close overnight.
How much this machine cost?
We paid 130,000 euros.
Because it never really picked up after COVID.
I don't get headaches from drinking our beer.
I don't think there's room for new breweries.
Hi, welcome to Onitex channel. Today we are visiting LOO-BLAH-NAH Brewery with the story how they came from 0 to 120,000 liters per year.
Our brewery has been around for, we're going to be 7 years now. So we started in 2017. We started at the time when there was sort of a little craft revolution with craft beers in Slovenia. They became really popular at that end. We were in love with beer, especially with craft. When we started drinking craft beer, we said, oh, this is great. We must get into this business because we all love beer. And then consequently, one of our friends that we met through trying different styles of beers was a brewmaster. He made beer at home. He was a home brewer. So we became really friends. And then we started throwing around the idea, why not make our own brewery? In the first year of when we started out as a gypsy brewery. Gypsy brewery means that somebody else makes your product.
Okay.
So at the beginning, we said, okay, let's start a brewery. So we said, okay, but it will be a little bit too risky to go ahead and spend, which is about a new brewery at that time cost about 250,000 euros. So we said, let's first test the market and let's produce our beer let's outsource the production of our beer. So,
But the recipe for the beer was yours.
The recipe was ours.
Okay, so this is the brew house. This is where we brew the beer. With this brew house, we're able to brew 2,000 liters at one time. And it takes us about 8 hours to do to brew one beer.
This vessel is for 2,000 liters.
Yes. This is for 2,000 liters. This is actually a 4,000 liter hot water tank, which we need to brew the beer.
So we had the brew house of 2,000 liters, and we had fermentation tanks for 8,000. So our maximum production at start was 8,000 liters per month. So yeah, we quickly saw after the first year that we needed additional equipment, but I mean, if you want to expand the brewery, it's mostly about how many fermentation tanks you have. If you want to, expand production, all we need to do is buy a fermentation tank. And so we would buy a fermentation tank of 4,000 liters, which means we can basically sell 4,000 liters more per month.
All right, can you tell me about that time when you were still labeling by hand, like running a smaller production line?
Yeah. I remember very well because it used to be very labor intensive. So before in our primitive machines, we used to do about, let's say, 100 bottles or 100 cans per hour, and 2 people had to work. Now we can do the same work. Now we can do 1,500 bottles in 1 hour with the machines that we have. So basically, it's much less labor intensive, and we can do much more beer, and we can sell more beer, and so it's really beneficial that you have good equipment.
How did it look like? How many people were working back then on the filling line?
Well, back then on the filling line, we would work and we always needed to hire extra people just to come for the day or for 2 days when we were labeling. So we had to get outside people come in. Let's say we would hire 2 extra people to come in, let's say for the whole day, so they could help us bottle the bottles. Now we do this all in, what we used to do before in 1 day with 4 people, we do now in 1 hour with 2 people. So it's basic here. I mean, major difference.
Where is automatization we're talking about? Like, can you show it?
Well, automatization here in the brewing process, not so much. Automatization is in the bottling and canning process. Here is basically at this, I mean, if you want to brew, you need machines like this if you want to brew at the scale that we want to brew. Otherwise, you can make smaller batches of, like home brewers, like 100 200 liters where you don't need this, but for these volumes, you need the machinery like this, you know, that can mash, you know, for mashing, you need big, let's say, these swords that run around. So, yeah.
How much this machine cost?
This machine, we paid, but this was 6 years ago, we paid 130,000 euros. This is our filling machine, bottling and canning machines. This machine does bottles and cans. It does approximately 1,000 bottles per hour. So it's pretty fast. And basically this machine does everything. It starts off with the labels. It puts the label on the can or the bottle. Then it goes through the cleaning process. So it squirts it with warm water to clean the bottle. Then it fills the bottle, puts the cap on, and then it cleans the bottle finally and dries it off. So it's a very automated procedure. We need, when we bottle or can, we need 2 people basically. So just one person to put on the bottles or cans and one to take them off.
So it's very, very important automatization. Also lowering costs per product, because again, we are fighting with these big industrial beers, you know, that are really, their costs are crazy low for us. So we must, you know, in this business, you have to look at every cent that you can save per product. So we're definitely looking everywhere where we can cut costs, and definitely the easiest way to cut costs is with automatization.
What we do is we take the malt. This is the malt, which we put into the grinder. And from the grinder, it goes into the brew house. And here in this tank, we mix it with hot water, and it basically beer cooks like soup. It's not much different. And then we add the hops to give it the hops are some sort of spices that we call, and we add the top and we mix it all together, and it's basically cooked like. So this is the brewing process. It's not so hard, but it depends on how much time you leave in the water, when you put in the hops, and what temperature you brew. So it's like you know, every cook has its own secrets, and it's the same with us. The ingredients are the same, but you know, it depends how you cook it, at what temperature, how long, and so forth.
There's definitely seasons in beer. The major seasons are spring and autumn.
Not summer?
No, summer actually the beer. No, it depends. If it's a really hot summer, the consumption falls, because if it's too hot, you can't drink so much beer.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, by far the biggest is spring. So we're talking May, June and then again September. May, June, September are the major months. July, August, it falls a bit. And of course, November, December, January, February is the low season.
To sell in a bottle or an aluminum can?
Well, for us, it's better aluminum can because it's cheaper, and also it's better quality. Beer in aluminum cans, but the market, at least in Slovenia, demands bottles.
Bottles.
So we do both, but even in some stores that we have the same style, let's say in Leclerc, I know we have bottles and cans, same style, and we will sell about 20% cans, 80% bottles. So people even in stores prefer to buy bottles. Bars don't even want to touch cans, they all want bottles. So yeah. But for us, it's much easier, you know. It's better quality beer. It's lighter to package, smaller packaging, easier to, you know, to carry around, to distribute. So everything is better in cans.
Why is the quality better in aluminum?
Because aluminum doesn't allow any sunlight to come in, and it's even more airtight than bottles. So every bottle will, you know, let in a little bit of air, and of course, you know, sun affects bottles. Yeah.
Well, after when everything is finished, the beer goes through this is a cooling device, which cools down the wort, which is at just under 100 degrees, and it goes into the fermenter. It goes into the fermenter.
How many hours do you need to cook?
It's let's say about 8 hours. If
Okay.
we're doing one batch, which means 2,000 liters, but a lot of the times we will do one batch after the other, which in that time we use about, let's say, 12 hours to do one after the other.
For making beer, according to your own
Yeah.
liking,
Yeah.
and then you switch to listen into the market more.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you give us an exact example?
Yeah, well, okay. Basically, you have two types of beers in the world. I mean, in the craft, I'm talking about ales. You have American styles, you have English styles. We're fans of English style ales. The difference is English style ales are more based on the malt. It's not so hop oriented. While as American style beers, ales are really hop oriented. So hops are the spices that's used in beer. So American styles have a lot of hops, a lot of spices. So they're very aromatic, very fruity, very so forth. Whilst English beers are more traditional, they are more malty based, and you get more the beer, the malt, the earthy flavors. So we were much more fans, we still are, of the English ales, English style ales versus American style ales, but the market wants American style ales, you know. So yeah, at the beginning we started making more. When we started, we more or less came out with English style ales, which was our English ale, porter, gold ale. But then we said, we need to have an IPA too. Everybody has an IPA. It's the most selling part. Let's do an IPA. Although none of us are fans of IPA, of the style.
Yeah.
But now IPA at our brewery accounts for 60% of our sales is the IPA. So yeah,
Okay.
and it took us 3-4 years, you know, to realize let's make the beers, because at the beginning we wanted to be different than the other breweries. We said, okay, everybody's making the IPAs, the pale ales. Let's do something different. So, but yeah, then we saw that basically if we came out on the market with an IPA at start, we would definitely have grown much faster.
What was the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge was the non-stop crises that keep on hitting us. You know, first was of course COVID.
What happened then?
Well, we had to close overnight, basically, because unlike industrial beers sell about 2/3 of their beer in stores and 1/3 in bars. Unlike craft breweries, we sell about 80% in bars and about only 20% in stores. So immediately when COVID came, all the bars closed. Our business basically, you know, we went from 100%, we went to maybe 15%. So that was the biggest, yeah. But since COVID, the whole industry is, we're also, because we're all friends in the industry, so we have also an association, and we still discuss what happened with the market, because it never really picked up after COVID.
Do you need to store it for a long time?
Well, in the fermentation tank, where you know, the yeast does its work, so transforms the sugars into alcohol. That takes about, let's say, 1 week to 2 weeks. So we will keep it in the fermentation tanks for approximately 2 weeks, after which we move it into the holding tanks, which are behind them on the other side.
How do you plan, and who does it, to buy the material?
This is all done by production. They have their schedule, which is more or less set. So more or less, we know that on Thursdays we brew the beer. We know that on Monday and Tuesday we bottle or can, and then the rest is cleaning, because not a lot of people know, but the brewing business is more than half is cleaning all the time.
So yeah, brewing is a dirty job. That's when a lot of people.
Oh, yeah,
A lot
I
of
see
people
that.
don't realize that brewing is a very hands-on, dirty job. Yeah.
Yeah, I see, but you do a great job with cleaning.
Yeah.
I remember.
That's also, cleaning is the most important thing, because every brewer, you know, would always, so that we don't get any infections or any bacteria or anything. So that's why I would say 80% of the brewing process is treating. Yeah. And we also use very very strong cleaning,
Detergent.
yeah, detergents and so forth. Yeah. They're very professional, industrial strength cleaning detergents.
For material, the thing in Ljubljana, warehouses are very expensive. It's very expensive to rent space for warehouses. So what we do is we get everything just in time. So all our orders are just in time. We have distributors that, let's say, if we're doing a beer on Thursday, they will bring everything to us on Wednesday afternoon, or maybe even on Thursday morning, so that we don't need to store these things because we don't have enough storage space. It's crazy expensive in Ljubljana. So basically we do just in time. Every time we know which beer we're going to make, I mean, the production knows at least 1 month ahead which beers they're going to brew each week. So, and they can plan accordingly. Same with bottles, you know, when we know that we're going to, you know, next Monday we're going to, you know, try to bottle 10,000 bottles, you know, we're ordered 10,000 bottles and they'll bring them to us one day before. Beer has 4 ingredients. So it's water, yeast, malt, and hops.
Not
So-
too complicated.
No, not so complicated. Water we get from the water system of Ljubljana,
Alright.
which is, thank God, we don't need to treat the water because it's perfect as it is. And then malt comes from Germany because there's nobody does malt in Slovenia. Hops is relatively small amounts in beers. A lot of people think that beer is a lot of hops, but it's not. I mean, you put, let's say, 2 kilograms or 3-4 per 1,000 liters, so it's not a big volume, which we source more or less from Slovenian farmers that we know, basically one farmer that we know that does. For some other, we also have to import for some other styles, and yeast also is bought.
How many people are working right now in your company?
Right now in our company, it's about 5 people. So we have 2 people in production, so in the brewing department. And then we have 1 person in administration, 1 sales representative that also distributes the beer to local bars and restaurants. And then we have the management, which is basically me, which I'm in charge of marketing and dealing with bigger companies and bigger stores and so forth.
How do you make sure that the quality of the beer is what customers actually get every time? So how do you put this consistency into
The
it?
consistency, well,
Right.
basically, I mean, the recipe is always the same, more or less, but with craft breweries, I mean, there is always a little bit difference between different batch. It's maybe the things that we notice, not so much the customers, but because, you know, beer is a live organism, so it's always a little bit different. So basically it is consistent, but there are some minor details in the flavors and the colors, but like a regular customer will not notice this. Because what the big companies do, the industrial beers, how they keep the consistency is basically they brew about 4 or 5 different batches and they mix it all together. So that's how they gain the consistency.
So actually they also have a little bit different tastes, but
No, because they always mix together, let's say,
Yeah, but the
5 or 6
batches-
different brews.
yeah, but the batches have a little bit.
Yeah. If each individual has a little different taste, but when they mix all of them together, 5, 6, it always comes to the same taste. But in our case, usually we do just 1 batch, 2,000 liters. Sometimes we mix 2 batches at most together.
But the different beers need different procedures, correct?
Yes, and different ingredients.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we will use different type of malts because in malts you always mix different types of malts. So for different types of beers, we use different types of mixes of malts, and we of course use different types of hops and also different yeast.
The most strange beer that we did was IPA with gummy bears. So we actually did put gummy bears in, and the IPA did get a gummy bear taste. But our idea was to put the little gummy bear into the bottle. So it would be something like in a tequila, that it would be like, you know, the worm that you eat at the end.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the gummy bear dissolves in
the
beer.
beer.
We didn't know that before, but
What do you do here to make us not feel the headache the morning after we drink your beer?
Well, if you don't, first of all, don't drink too many of them.
Okay.
That's the best way to avoid a headache.
Yeah, we are promoting a healthy lifestyle. So everybody who is watching this video, please remember that.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly. But let's say, at least from my experience and also from experience, the major cause of a headache in drinking beer is actually carbonization. So it means the bubble.
Okay.
Because these bubbles take the alcohol directly into your bloodstream faster.
All right.
And this dehydrates the body the most. And with our beers, with craft beers, we use much less carbonization than the industrial beers. Well, also lagers tend to be more carbonated than ales. And since our beers are less carbonated, you also, at least I don't get the headaches from drinking our beer. And most people have much lesser headaches the next day if they drank too much.
Do you use any chemical additives to your beer?
Not at all. Our beers are all natural, made out of 4 ingredients. It's water, yeast, hops, and malt. That's the only thing we put in our beers. We don't add anything else. So it's completely natural. We also don't filter our beers. We don't pasteurize them. So it's a completely natural live organism that it's completely natural.
Does the industrial beer look different? Is it produced differently?
Yes, industrial beers produce differently in that first it's filtered, which we don't filter. So that's the other major difference that the industrial beers do is they pasteurize their beers, which means that after they're bottled or canned, they put them through a process called pasteurize, where they basically put it through very hot water so that it kills all the bacteria, all the living yeast, everything that it kills, everything that's inside the beer. We don't do that in craft. We don't pasteurize because craft beers are live. They're live organisms, and so that's the major difference between industrial and craft beers.
Is it good for the health to drink this live organism?
Yes, of course. These are all organisms like you find in yogurts or other stuff. So they're organisms that are actually beneficial to you.
But does the cost of the production of smaller batches differ from
Yeah. We sell it at about twice the price as normal beer, and and we always sell everything we make. So yeah.
Yeah, but these special brews, they cost also.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a prefer also because of time. Like we have some beers that are also very strong in alcohol. Our strongest beer is the Belgian Quadruple, which we also which we mature in oak wine casks. We mature it for 1 year, so it takes much more time to produce. It has a higher alcohol volume, so we pay much more tax on it. To the government, so of course it's twice the price as, let's say, normally beer. But these are beers that are like similar to wine already. You drink them like wine because they're so strong in flavor and alcohol.
Okay, this is our cold storage.
I can feel it.
Yeah, we also have another storage place where we don't need to keep it so cold, but some beers have to be stored at a cold temperature. So here we keep the temperature constantly at 11 or 12 degrees.
How many months can you store a beer?
Well, beer is, I mean, if you store it at this temperature, it could last 2 years or even more. But otherwise, our beers, if stored, let's say, at the normal room temperature, which I would say about 20, 22 degrees, would be about 1 year. The problem is when the temperatures are, let's say, above 25, then it's a little problem. Then maybe the beer will only be good for, let's say, half a year.
Do you keep any beer on stock?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, we do keep beer on stock, so we have, but otherwise we keep our beers in the fermenters, which is better for the beer. So, and when we need it, we just fill it into bottles or kegs. So basically, we do it per need basis. So when we need to, when we run out of a certain beer, we just fill it up and put it in the storage.
Just-in-time production.
Yeah.
We don't have big budgets for marketing, so we try to use a lot of social media, of course. So we're present on all the channels, including recently on TikTok, which was something new for us. We started about half a year ago. and it's really good responses. So this a little bit surprised us. Okay, but we're a bit older, so we don't really know so much about TikTok and these sort of. We mostly use just Facebook and Instagram. We don't have really budgets for TV or for billboards. Radio, we have a problem because our brand is it's not audio based, it's very visual based. So if you say, brewery LOO-BLAH-NAH, everybody thinks about Union beer. So what we do is we do a lot of on printed, so social media and then printed, so brochures, in-store materials, various stickers on tables, whatever. And we also do a lot of merchandising, like T-shirts, hoodies, stuff like that. Meaning, like a bar like this, we're also now opening. We're going to open a bar in Ljubljana soon, because this is also the way to increase your market, share. So that's also. I think that a lot of brewers in Ljubljana and Slovenia are thinking about, opening their own outlets. So you can sell your own beer directly to the public, so you get rid of the middlemen, which take a lot of the profit. If you follow in the in other European countries, especially like in London, the big breweries are buying up bars now, and I think more than 60-70% of, let's say, bars in London are already owned by one of the bigger breweries, because it's the easiest way to distribute your beer is through your own sales outlets. And this is definitely one of the things that craft breweries, because we are more expensive than industrial, this is the way we can cut costs. If we sell our beer directly to the customers. The big problem is because distributors, so forth, they take a huge chunk of the profit. They take about 20% for their services. And what we saw also during COVID, that you can sell directly to the customers. So during COVID, a lot of people would be coming to our brewery and, asking to buy beer from us, and we couldn't sell, it was allowed. So we did sell a lot of beer. And at that time we saw that maybe it would be very beneficial if we also opened a store or a bar or something closer to the customers, meaning in the center of Ljubljana. So we're actually now pursuing this. So hopefully we will soon open our own bar in Ljubljana. Because even this tap room that we're in now in Ljubljana, it's relatively a small tap room, but it basically accounts for about 6-7% of our sales. Because here we sell about 1,000 liters per month, and if you look at it on an annual amount, it's about 7% of the sales. So it's been very beneficial for a craft brewery, for a small brewery, to also have its own distribution channel, its own bar, its own store, where they can sell directly to the customers. Plus, it's also a way of getting closer to the customers, getting feedback from the customers, which is always nice.
If you would give an advice to other people who want to open a brewery, what it would be?
Well, first, it's not an easy business, not by far. Secondly, the market, at least in Slovenia, is saturated with craft breweries. That's also one thing we discuss among each other. There's too many. There's too many. Our size breweries, there's about 10 in Slovenia, our size, and then there's another 10 that are a little bit smaller. But for such a small market as Slovenia, this is too much. And we're basically 15 breweries fighting for the same little market. And you must also understand that the market in Slovenia, at least the way I estimate, that it's 70% or at least 60% is Ljubljana. And then the rest covers the rest of Slovenia covers maybe 1/3, maybe just over 1/3. So the market is concentrated in Ljubljana, and even further it's concentrated to bars along the river. So it's a very small market, So it's very saturated. So I don't think there's room for new breweries, or at least, if they're not willing to put in the time and the energy, to stick it out for 5-10 years or even more.
If you could wish for something to happen, what would you like to have in 5 years?
Well, we would definitely, our goal is to be the local beer, the local craft beer in Ljubljana, at least, so that people in Ljubljana, that this is their local beer that they drink, the craft. So maybe what Union once was, which is not so much now that they're leaving Ljubljana, at least the production wise. So maybe that would be our goal.